Welcome back, Sports Talk. Mike is here this hour.
Good morning and good morning to our viewers. I'm glad to be here this morning.
We'll get started straight away from this sharing information coming from the National Sports Commission that has obtained a special scholarship partnership with the Hungarian University to provide academic opportunities for Nigerian athletes. Mike, this is really heartwarming that Nigerian athletes, after all, will not just compete for Nigeria, but have opportunity of developing themselves through this scholarship scheme with the Hungarian government.
Yeah, I think for me it's a nice deal that was struck by the National Sport Commission with the Hungarian federation. I think it will go a whole long way to also help our athletes to at least gain access to some of the top standard infrastructure to train with, because when they go over there to study, also having that opportunity as well to connect, to hone and develop their talent, they will have that time to also, be assessed or assess some of the best equipment, and it helps them to also improve on their game. So for me, I think it's a nice idea going forward, and this is going to encourage the athletes to give in their best, because if you are taken from here down over there in Hungary to study and also cannot to chase your dream of becoming a world champion, it helps you to give out everything. So for me, I think it is a nice one coming in from the National Sport Commission.
School Sports Development Scheme, engineered by the National Sports Commission under the leadership of Shehu Diko, is beginning to bear fruits, because the Hungarian government, through our embassy here in Nigeria, has come up with a scheme where you can do your postgraduate program, even the undergraduate program, and certificate courses while undergoing while doing your scheme. What it means here now, Mike, is that the school program can be planned alongside the the athletics program of these athletes, and so they can side by side compete for their respective school and country, while at the same time go through their academic work. You won't have to say, because I have to write exams, and so you cannot compete in a particular athletics meet.
Yeah, I think for me it's very timely, and the calendar, the schedules of activity, very perfect, to also enable the athletes or the students focus on their career as well, and also their educational pursuit. I think this is what it means for you to have a proper planning, a proper organizational structure where everything is segmented in a way and manner that it will not be more like a burden to the athlete as well. So for me, I think it's a nice one, properly structuring it so that at least your school time, your school hours, when to rest and when not to rest, when to start preparing for competition. It's either for your school competition or for your national team competition as well. So for me, I think it's very perfect. Like I said, it will also help to engineer the athletes in giving their best.
Now, to hope that these athletes will give their best, given that structured program that will assist them, to live a life after, active days in athletics or in sports generally. I'm still looking at developments coming in from the National Sports Commission. The Director General of the Commission, Bukola Olakwade, has commended the Nigerian Aquatic Federation for successfully hosting the first edition of the Swim to Future Championship tournament designed for primary and secondary school children aged between 6 to 14. This is the right age to catching them young. Mike, this is party sport has not been one where we've shown leadership in the past, but if we continue the way we have started now, I think in the near future we should have swimmers of top quality discovered from this Swim to Future Championship, which are expected to take place, which is already come and gone in Abuja.
Yeah, for me, I think for sure, this is the right way to go. Catch them younger program at the age of 6 to 14. If they are being exposed to, what it takes to be a professional swimmer, then come to think of it, when they turn 18, 20, or 25, what they can do. So for me, I think it's just the necessary thing for us to do. We must also improve that area. But then again, I expected this long ago, especially for the states that within the riverine region, states like Cross River, State like Akwa Ibom, River State, Bayelsa, these are riverine areas, and we must, as a matter of must, take advantage of the region to which we find ourselves, which is a riverine region. Naturally, we should be able to produce the best of swimmers in the whole country because of the fact that we have rivers, circled around us. So for me, I think it's a nice one. If we continue this form of program, I also listened to the Director General talking about the fact that this should not be one-off thing, but it should be very, very consistent. That the aquatic federation should also continue to improve and also continue to organize this kind of activities for the young swimmers. And if they continue in that very trajectory, I tell you, we might just reap the fruits or the reward of our labor, in time to come, maybe in 4, 5, or even 7 years to come. Because, like I said, at the age of 6 to 14, if they are properly exposed to some of these things, when they get to 18, 20, then they are already, master of it all, and they will be talking about Nigeria becoming world beaters in terms of swimming competitions.
Well, away from that, let's now get to tennis. And talking about tennis, 500 points were at stake at the Dubai Championship that just came to an end a few hours ago. And it is the 11th seed, Stefanos Tsitsipas, who has come to winning all 500 points and the trophy at the Dubai Championship. Mike, this is about how many said 11th time where we'll see Stefanos Tsitsipas appear at the Dubai Championship, and it's cheering that haven't lost out to Novak Djokovic in 2019 and then to Roger Federer in 2020. He's now turned out to be a winner of the tournament.
Very impressive one for Tsitsipas, although he has often come short of expectation for most of the time that he has appeared. But this time, I don't know whether courtesy of the fact that some of the big names are no longer there, and that is why he made it very easy for him to get to the final. Not just getting to the final, but winning this very, I think it's a good one for him. 500 points on the kitty right now. If he continue to at least take part in other 500 ATP events, maybe, just maybe, this is going to help him also climb up the ladder in terms of ranking. But I tell you, it was an impressive one for him, and we say congratulations to Tsitsipas.
Tsitsipas, courtesy of this victory now in a straight set win, 6-3, 6-3 over his opponent, he will now enter into the top 10 later today when the ranking will be released.
A great one, a great one. This is what it means. In every tournament, whether 5,000 ATP or 1,000 ATP, one thing is very sure, that the points that you accumulate in some of these ATP events certainly count for you, whether 250 ATP event, 500 ATP event. It is a plus to you if you get to win it, because the point, that you accumulate to that will be further added to what you had already, and that helps you to plummet in the table.
What makes of Agua Lasime now, the 24-year-old who lost out in the final?
Well, for Agua Lasime, I think it's not been an impressive season for him, because you take a look at the start of this very 2025 season, most of all the competition that he has, taken part, he has not managed to reach any final. This should be his first final of this 2025 season, and getting to the final without winning it is very, very painful. But then I think there's always another time. There's still more ATP events to come. Maybe, just maybe, he can also take advantage of some of the ATP events to come. But I tell you, it was a disappointing outing for him.
Talking about outing in tennis, as we prepare towards yet another Grand Slam, Acapulco in Mexico saw Czech player Thomas Marca claim his very first ATP tour with victory in the Mexican Open. The world number 25, who won mixed doubles gold at the Paris Olympic Games, if you remember, beat Spain's Alejandro Davidovich Fokina 7-6, 6-2 in what can turn out to be a crucial decider. The Spaniard now has lost 3 finals on the tour, including the Delaware Beach Open last month. Marca is like an upcoming name in tennis, but he becomes the very third player from his country, Mexico, from the Czech Republic, to win the ATP 500 title. We remember Thomas Berdych and, of course, Radek Stefanek in the past.
Yeah, for me, I think for Thomas Marca, he's been able to also is gradually building that name for himself. In the last 1 year right now, I think we've had this name oftentimes, coming up in some of the ATP event. I tell you, still very young and still has many potential to give out there. Talking about Thomas Machak, we just hope that this season could be that season, that breakthrough season where we, see him win one of the major, ATP events.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed, and I hope that Thomas Machak will continue to improve, and not just only the ATP event. The Grand Slams are coming, and he will see a new name on the Grand Slam role. Do you think with this kind of preparation, with the 500 tournament, they could move it up to the 1,000 tournament, and of course, ultimately, the 2,000 points that comes with the Grand Slam?
Yeah, I think it's very, very possible if some of these young jams continue to improve. We've seen, some of the young jam doing great things so far this season. The likes of Mira Andreeva at just 17 years. She became the first player to win a 1,000 ATP event at the age of 17. We've seen Thomas Machak, the way he's also progressing. Ogo Alesima, not a good outing for him so far this season, but Tsitsipas at the age of 24 also doing pretty well. So I just hope that all this impressive display from these young ones is going to culminate into helping them to become a force to be reckoned with, this season going forward. But then I tell you, it is looking likely that we might see a new name, in the world of tennis this season from what I've actually experienced or witnessed from some of the ATP events so far. This is looking likely we might see another new name.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed and do follow up for you here on Atlantic Television Network. It is getting more interesting, like we said. New names has got to emerge for the Grand Slam. A lot of points is going to take 2,000 points to move you from a lowly ranked position to top of the rankings in tennis. Well, let's now go into basketball. And talking about basketball, it's getting very crucial at the NBA in the United States of America, because there has been some very interesting results in basketball. We've seen a situation now where Miami Heat, in an overtime win, took out lost to New York Knicks 112 to 116 points overtime.
Yeah, for me, I think for Miami Heat, not a good outing for them, but I tell you, they are going to, roll this match, because they had a chance, especially in the third and fourth quarter, to, win that game. But most of the three-pointers, their players couldn't take advantage of those three-pointers to actually, win the game. So it had to go to overtime, where they actually lost that very one. Not a good one for them, but I hope they are going to, pick up the broken pieces in their next game.
How close was it in the match between Orlando Magic and Toronto Raptors? Raptors were able to take out their host, Orlando Magic, by 2 points, just 2 points, 102 to 104 points.
Yeah, for Orlando Magic, I think they've been magical so far this season, but then against Toronto Raptors, it was a very, very difficult game for them. Just 2 point margin was keenly contested, a counter out there, but then we didn't see many of those pointers out there. Just 104 to 102, 2 point, disparity in that very one. That is to tell you how keen and they've maintained that first position for a very, very long time right now. So it wasn't a surprise for me, that they were able to get the better of their, opponent. But going forward, I think there are areas that they need to also improve, because you look as though their front line are beginning to, reduce in terms of the point margin whenever they play games. Unlike before, you see them scoring as 138 points, 140 points, 128 points, but these days, they are actually lowering down their guard, 120 something, 115 and all of that. So they need to improve in terms of, the attack force.
Still, there are another home loss for Utah Jazz, 128 to 121 points scored by the home side Utah Jazz. New Orleans Pelicans enjoyed victory over Jazz.
And Utah Jazz has been very disappointing so far since the start of this season. In the Western Conference, they're also rocking the bottom table out there. Not a good one for them, because it's been a while that they actually tested a victory. I think it's about a week ago or thereabout where they managed to win one of their games. But then their season has been very, very disappointing, and there's need for them to urgently, improve if truly want to finish in a very respectable position on the table this season.
And the Lakers were winners over their counterparts from the Clippers from the same city. We saw 108 to 102 points. LA Lakers had one man that put over as many as 31 points on the roster.
Yeah, I think it was an impressive victory for them. For LeBron James, he did pretty well. But then for LA Lakers and LA Clippers, whenever these two teams meet, it is always a very, very difficult game because they understand themselves. More like you playing, against your brother, because that is what they actually represent there. They are always very, very, competitive whenever these two teams meet. They just want who reigns supreme among the LA Clippers or LA Lakers, and that is why it was very interesting. The mammoth crowd that turned out for the very game last night. The stadium was jam-packed because of the excitement and the euphoria that comes with this very game. But at the end, one side got to win.
Nearly 20,000 fans were inside of that stadium in Los Angeles to see the two teams from the same city come together and clash in a very highly contested fixture. 6 points separated Lakers, the home side, from Clippers in that feature. Well, that is what we can take at this hour. We'll take a break now. When we return from the break, we'll bring you some more stories, especially in football, where Remo Stars seem to continue to hold, keep their grip on the Premier League here in Nigeria. With just about a dozen games to go, it is getting even more interesting across Europe, because in Spain, FC Barcelona is leading by just a point, and same will be said of what is happening in the Italian Serie A. When we return from a break, we'll give you details how close it is to decide who could win the league across Nigeria and Europe this time around. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. We've told you earlier that now, if you're a Nigerian athlete, you can school at the postgraduate, undergraduate, and certificate course level in the Hungarian university. At the same time, combine it with your athletic work, courtesy of an agreement with the National Sports Commission and the Nigerian Embassy over the weekend. So I think this is good news. It's schooling and at the same time undergoing your do I say desired interest in sports. Beyond that, we told you how Stefano Tsitsipas is won at the Dubai Championship, and so he has another 500 points added to his points that will enhance his ranking in tennis. By later today, he will be within the top 10 players in world tennis. And in basketball, Mike, something seemed to have happened in the early hours of this morning. We have Ja Morant of Memphis Grizzlies throwing the ball into the crowd. What is the match ball, there's a game ball was thrown into the crowd angrily, and that was adjudged to be a technical foul for which he has been slammed with a fine of $25,000. Ja Morant should know better not to commit a technical foul.
Of course he should. He is a professional, should be abreast with the rules of the game. So going contrary to the rules of the game actually attract fines, and he cannot escape from it because he needs to also be, punished so as to serve as a deterrent to others. Many times some of these professionals, they allow anger to get a better part of them, but then as a professional, there are certain things you cannot do. Even when you are pushed against it, you must maintain that professionalism. For me, good one, so that it will serve as a deterrent to others.
Game ball thrown into the stand by Ja Morant of Memphis Grizzlies has attracted $25,000 fine, and I'm very sure that will be double for him because his team lost by 1 point to New York Knicks in that fixture. It was Memphis Grizzlies 113 as compared to 114 points scored by New York Knicks. And now let's get to football. Remo Stars continue to show class after winning Plateau. Sorry, United. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, for me, I think it was, all 3 points for Remo Stars. Hard-fought victory. They had to score that goal by the 73rd minute. With one of the players that have also joined in the Nigerian Premier Football League, making his return back to the top flight.
Something?
Yeah, he was able to, score to actually give Remo Stars all 3 points and to keep them pushing. As it is right now, they are 12 points, ahead of the second place. Talking about Rivers United, that will be playing their game today against a third place team. Talking about Shooting Stars, which for me it promises to be another, tough game. But for Remo Stars, I tell you, they are keeping up the pace, and it's looking likely they might just break that jinx of not having won the Nigerian Premier Football League.
The Stars of Ibadan are home against Rivers United later today. Both of them have the same number of points, 42 points, but Rivers United are better by goals, and so should the Stars of Ibadan have a chance of going past Rivers United on the log, they could go second, while Rivers United could drop down to third place.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time before we see any of these teams that is going to drop for one another. But then one thing is very certain: Rivers United, they are not a good travelers away from home. The least they could get possibly a draw in that game. But then I tell you, even that draw, it is not even good at all, because don't forget that Kano Pillars is also there in the fourth position, the same point, 42 as well. So I think Rivers United should, put their foot on the ground, throttle and see if they can be able to get all 3 points. But like I said, it's going to be a very difficult game for them, because Shooting Star will be playing, at home, and they have that advantage of being backed up by the home crowd out there.
Earlier yesterday, we saw Sunshine Stars in Akure beat Kwara United by 4-2. Abia Warriors at Umoya were forced to a 1-1 draw by Nasarawa United. Nasarawa United doing everything possible to avoid relegation.
Yeah, they are trying to avoid relegation because they are 17th on the league table right now. I tell you, with some few games to go, if they continue this way, we may just see them escaping relegation this season.
At the Samson Sesia Stadium in Yenigua, Bayelsa United had all 3 points, courtesy of a 2-1 win over Insurance of Benin. Kano Pillar continue to make stake for going to the continent because the Enugu Rangers by 2-1 in Kano, and now they are within the first 4 on the league table here in Nigeria.
Yeah, for Kano Pillars, I think they've been doing impressively so far. With the return of Ahmed Musa to the league, Shehu Abdullahi as well. Then you have their own, veteran player talking about Rabi Ali, who is ever present out there. He has converted more successful penalty than any other player in the league so far. They had to dig deep. They had to come from behind to win that very one with Coach Eric Chell on the stand as well to actually see Ahmed Musa if he's fit enough to be called up for the Super Eagles. I think it's an impressive victory for Kano Pillars.
Enyimba International was the most beneficiary of the fixtures at the weekend because they traveled all the way to Mina and beat Niger Tornadoes by 1-0. And a win there for Enyimba International, pummeling them to the 8th position on the league table. Enyimba flopping at home, but able to make up in Mina.
Yeah, a good one for Enyimba, but not good enough. They are still far away from, even finishing within the top 4. They are seated 9. I think Bendel Insurance is on the 8th position. They are in the 9th position. Do same point with, Bendel Insurance for me. But then it was a good victory, going away from home to pick all 3 points. It doesn't come easy in the Nigerian Premier Football League. But then they still need to push more to see if they can be able to finish in a very good position, because this is their worst season so far in the last 10 years, where Enyimba is shuttling between 8th and 9th position. 26 or 27 games played so far.
Well, let's look at some features that are coming up later today at the Gospel Akpabio Stadium in Uyo. It will be Aqua United up against Katsina United. Can they improve on their 19th place position on the league table? Aqua United has just Lobby Stars, which is at the basement, they are just better than Lobby Stars that are at the basement. Do you see that getting all 3 points in Uyo against Katsina United tonight?
I think for me it's going to be a very difficult one for Aqua United. I do not see them getting all 3 points because they've had a very poor show so far this season. Coming up against Katsina United, that is seated 13th on the log, also trying to see if they can finish it within the top 10. It's going to be a very difficult one for Aqua United. But we see how it pans out, because it's a game of football. Anything at all can happen.
10th place El Kanemi Warriors will confront the basement team, Lobby Stars, later today. Then we told you earlier that Shooting Stars has a crucial fixture between them and Rivers United. Or who gets the 2nd place position will be at stake in this one. Let's quickly now go across to Africa, and Mike, Rwanda Football Federation on Sunday announced the appointment of a new coach for their encounter. Remember, Nigeria will have to take on Rwanda, sometimes in the next 2 or 3 weeks from now, and now they have an Nigerian coach as the head of the team.
Yeah, a good one for them. They are preparing because they let go of their coach and bringing in another coach who has also tested the African football, understand how the African football is being played. I've coached some other African countries before, the likes of Libya, Kenya, to mention but a few. So it's one man who is abreast with the African football as well. So let's see how this one pans out.
He has his first opponent to be the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
Yeah, which is a very, very difficult game is going to be for him, because of course the situation of the Super Eagles. We will need all 3 points. We also have a new coach, so I think it's going to be a very tough clash. Baptism
of fire for the both coaches for Rwanda and Nigeria in a very crucial tie that will be taking place out there in Rwanda. Let's hope that it will become good for a Nigerian head coach and not Rwanda. But that is football. It's unpredictable until 90 minutes plus added time. Well, let's take one more reaction before we go across to Europe. This one still has to do with football generally. Goalkeepers now will be punished by if they delay, because after 8 seconds they will have to raise the ball. If not, it will be a corner kick against their side.
Yes, I think what has prompted to some of these new laws or new rules by IFAB is not very strange, because these days you see players, goalkeepers using what we call the gamesmanship in order to gain undue advantage by wasting time, especially when they are on the winning side. You see goalkeeper holding on to the ball as much as 3 minutes, a minute, 80 seconds. So I think for me it is going to be a good one. So that right now, if you know that you are winning or not, you don't need to hold on to the ball longer than necessary. At just 8 seconds, if you hold on to the ball in your palms as a goalkeeper within the 18-yard box, it's regarded as indirect free kick, sometimes corners for the opposition team. So I think this will help the keepers as well to sit up and stop the unnecessary delays, because sometimes it becomes very boring watching a match game when the they are scoring plenty of goals. Just 2 points, ahead of Atletico.
No, it's actually 1 point, 57 points for FC Barcelona and 56 points for Atletico Madrid there, and we have 54 points for Real Madrid. And Atletico Club themselves too are close because they have 46 points, 48 points to come fourth on the league table out there in Spain. It's getting very interesting. But looking at some results we had from you from Spain at the weekend, Girona played a 2-2 draw with Celta Vigo. Real Vallecano was in a draw situation, 1-1 against Sevilla, and we told you how Real Betis beat Madrid by 2-1. Leganés beat Getafe by 1-0, and Mallorca played 1-1 draw with Deportivo Alaves. Osasuna were in a 6-goal thriller against Valencia. It ended 3-3 on that fixture. But later tonight, we will see Villarreal take on Espanyol in yet another crucial encounter out there. Bayern Munich continue to make their lead in the in the German Bundesliga, courtesy of a 3-1 win over Stuttgart at the weekend. Bayern Munich not letting off the guards. They continue to lead on the Bundesliga, Mike.
Yeah, they continue to lead. I think it's a great one. 8 points now adrift of the second place, talking about Bayern Leverkusen, who are also not giving up on the title chase as well. We see how this one pans out, but I tell you, I think it's been an impressive outing or a start for the man, talking about Company, because he has had about 73% win ratio since he came to Bayern so far. But we'll see how it pans out, because like I said earlier, Bayern Leverkusen are not giving up on the title chase. They are still pushing to see if they can be able to dethrone Bayern Munich and successfully defend their title.
RB Leipzig lost at home. Mainz beat them by 2-1, and Heidenheim lost at home as well. Mönchengladbach beating them by 3-0. It was a poor result for St. Pauli at home because Borussia Dortmund beat them by 2-0, and Bochum as well lost at home. Overheim beating them by 1-0. Werder Bremen, another home loser. Wolfsburg beating them by 2-1. Eintracht Frankfurt losing at home as well. Bayern Leverkusen benefiting by a 4-1 win. Union Berlin lost at home, hosting KL, beating them by 1-0. Mike, it looks like this weekend was very bad for the home sides in the German Bundesliga.
Yeah, it was very, very bad. We at least recorded more away win than home wins as well, and leading that pack of poor result at home is RB Leipzig. That their season has been so poor so far. For a standard of RB Leipzig, that we know how they did very well last season, 2 seasons ago, but then I think it was not a good one. But from what it's looking like, the Bundesliga is not a league where you just think that playing at home gives you the advantage. You must have to work your fingers to the bone if you truly want to win at home. If not, you may just lose at home, and that is why we recorded more away wins than home wins over the weekend.
Now stay away from the Bundesliga. Let's go to Italian Calcio, Italian Serie A, and we have Fiorentina beating Lecce by 1-0. Atalanta was involved in a goalless situation with Venezia. The match of the weekend in Italy was an encounter between Napoli and Inter Milan. It ended 1-1. Mike, Inter Milan leads by just a point over Napoli, on the league table. 58 for Napoli and 57 for Inter Milan. How did Napoli not take complete advantage of this one?
I think for Inter Milan, it was a very a strong game. The first and second position going for the juggler. It wasn't an easy game, but Inter took the lead. Napoli had to come from behind to draw level to, share the spoil out, and thereby, giving Inter that advantage of 1 point lead, because Napoli, they have been there at the first position for how many weeks right now. So I think for the Italian Serie A, is going to head down to the wire, because Atlanta as well is also there in the mix as well, chasing, and it is not done and dusted yet, because there are still a few games to come. We'll see how it goes.
Meanwhile, Bologna beat Cagliari by 2-1. Genoa played a 1-0 draw with Empoli, one of the teams that are threatened by relegation this season. AS Roma beat Como by 2-1, while AC Milan lost at home to Lazio 2-1. It ended in that fixture. Later tonight, Juventus will take on Hellas Verona in what promises to be a race for top spots in the Italian Serie A. In the French League 1, we saw AS Monaco beat Rennes by 3-0. Saint-Etienne playing at home lost 3-1 to Nice, while another home defeat for Lens, because Le Havre went out there to Lens and beat them by 4-3. Paris Saint-Germain continue to hold the grip out there in France by 4-1 over Lille. Paris Saint-Germain, yes, may have lost out in the other competitions, but not joking with the League 1.
Yeah, they are not joking at all. It's looking like, in fact, they are coasting home with the title already, because they have 62 points right now, and the second place has 49 points. It's about a 12-point lead so far with just 24 games played so far. So it's looking likely that Paris Saint-Germain is already running away with the title.
There were at least 4 home losses at the weekend in France. Angers was one of the home losers because they were beating Black and Blue by Toulouse 4-0. Ended. Auxerre playing at home lost by 1-0 to Strasbourg, while the Montpellier was one of the heavy losers at the weekend, especially at home, because Rennes beat them by 4-0. Marseille travel were at home, but they were able to take out Nantes by 2-0. And interestingly, that looks the much we can take across Europe, and we can take you through just one more transfer before maybe we'll get something from the Galatasaray. 17-year-old Brazilian defender Corinthians will be a Chelsea player any moment from now.
Yeah, Chelsea, I think they are beginning to develop the likeness for Brazilian players. You can't forget how many they signed last season, about 3 or 4 Brazilian players. Estavo also, this one is a young defender for Corinthians who we understand joined them maybe in the 2026. But I tell you, it was a very good signing for them. They are just making silent signing. Chelsea right now, look as though fitness club, because they signed some of these youngsters, selling them back to make a huge gain. It just cost £10 million, and who knows if they are going to sell him right now, it's going to even increase to that figure. We see whether they are buying for to use the players, or buying for the business purpose. But I tell you, this Brazilian is a top talent.
Well, we have to wrap up the show, but if you love English Premier League, there is no league matches going on now because it is on break this month of March. But the FA Cup is heating up later tonight about 8:30 p.m. Nigerian time. Nottingham Forest will be at home against Ipswich Town. Mike, Nottingham Forest, the surprise team of this year in the Premier League, can they take their Premier League form into the FA Cup?
Yeah, I think so, especially coming up against an Ipswich Town team that is very down this season. With Nottingham Forest, the way they have been able to surprise so many, I think they have what it takes to come out with victory tonight.
That will be it for this edition of Sports Talk. We'll be back later by 6 p.m. Nigeria time for Sports Talk, when we will definitely give you results of the latest ranking in world tennis. We'll tell you who is the #1 in male and female tennis as well. Until then, remember, peace and unity are clearly pathways to progress. Always enjoy here on Atlantic Television Network.